Hello, my name is Mike, and welcome to my channel. So today I want to talk to you about the hidden power of changing your mind. I'm going to talk about the reasons that we fear this, why it's a sign of intelligence, and how to get more comfortable with doing so. So to go ahead and get started, I want to talk about kind of the two primary reasons that I tend to see that we get fearful of changing our mind. One reason being that you have to typically, to some extent, admit that you were wrong. And this is a hard thing for a lot of people to do. It was a hard thing for me to do for a large part of my life. And I think a lot of people face this issue. And the second reason really being the fear of what others around us are going to think about us. That can be a tough one too, because of the pressure that you put on yourself to, once you make your mind up about something, to stick with that and not want others to judge you or say something about you because you had the idea to change your mind. Now, with both of these camps, I understand the pressure. I felt this myself, and this doesn't seem to be an uncommon occurrence. So with the first piece of talking about having to admit that you were wrong, it sounds negative, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because we're not born with all the answers in our life. We don't have all the information. And the thing is, as we continue to grow, we continue to learn and get a wider perspective of the world. What tends to happen is that you do change your mind on certain things, right? Like the way that you saw something 5 years ago isn't necessarily the same way that you see it today. 10 years, 20 years, the more time that goes by, the more likely it is that you've changed your mind over something. Problem that I see is that a lot of times people will have an idea and they'll be reluctant to change it because to some extent that has to, kind of teeter in the line, if not going to the full camp of saying, I was wrong about this certain thing. And whether you say this out loud, admit it to yourself, or just think it, it's a hard reality to have to accept. However, it's a necessary one whenever you're faced with something of trying to change your mind. Now, if you look in the other camp of the fear of what people around you will think, this is a tough pressure to face, sometimes even more so, I would say, than admitting to yourself that you were wrong about something. The reason being is that even if we have the courage to want to change, or to think about something in a different way, it's easy to have the pressure of your family, your friends, or others around you kind of, come at you and say, well, you sold out, or I can't believe you used to think this way and now you think this, or I never thought that, you wouldn't be one of us, or something like that. These pressures are hard to resist because if you have the courage to step outside and say, okay, I was wrong about this, or I've learned and I've grown, and I no longer think that way, and you face these pressures around you of people kind of ganging up on you or saying these things where it really kind of makes you question, like, well, do I want to leave team A to go to team B? Am I really making the right decision, not supporting this group anymore, or this idea or this activity? It's tough to keep going forward and facing these pressures, and I understand why this is a fear. Just know that you're not alone if you do feel these things, and it's a normal part of the course whenever you're going throughout some type of a change in your life. And I want to kind of, segue this into kind of the second thing that I said when we started here, and that was about intelligence. Now, intelligence shows up in so many different ways. It's not just, I know how 2 + 2 = 4, I'm intelligent, or something that's, factually based like that. Intelligence has many different forms, many different avenues and things in which you can be considered intelligent. Now, one of the ways that I see intelligence show up, and this really has to do with, being able to change your mind. And a different way to kind of say this is that you're open-minded, right, to different ideas or different thoughts or goals or whatever it may be on your plate. Knowing what you don't know oftentimes is more powerful than knowing what you do know or what you think you know. An intelligent person often questions everything in front of them. They don't just, take the first thing they hear and run with it. They don't just keep one idea and keep that for the rest of their life. They challenge these. They think about, is this still true? Has something changed? Did I have all the information up front? You ask a lot of questions, right? And it's kind of knowing what you don't know and really always being a constant, student of the craft or ideas or whatever it is that you're thinking about that puts you in that bucket of intelligence. So think about, 5, 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, depending on how old you are watching this. Are the ideas and things that you thought at that time still relevant today? Now, there may be a chance that a lot of those things still are, but is 100% of everything you thought still relevant? Probably not. At some point when we look back, we probably all thought we had all the answers. Even right now, I'm 33. If I'm 43 years old, 10 years, into the future from here, and I still think every single thing the exact same way that I do today, and not even one thing has changed, I would make the argument that I've stayed stuck in my ways and I haven't learned anything and I haven't grown. It doesn't mean that you have to every few years completely do a 180 on every single thing that you think. However, what I would say is that there are things that are going to change. And an intelligent person would say, okay, like I need to reevaluate. I need to take inventory of my ideas, my thoughts, my beliefs and such, and see if I still hold these to be true. And if something doesn't feel right, if I feel like I've changed in some way, I need to question why and ask myself the right things to see, should I change? Or should I change these ideas or the ways I think about this? And, do I have the pressure around me of people trying to hold me back and say, no, don't do that. You need to think like this. You need to stay on our team. You need to keep doing what you're doing. The hard thing to understand is that these voices are not always in support of you. And so it's not only fear, it's like courage that I've mentioned a few times, where you have to kind of resist these ideas and things that people trying to hold you back that are not open to change themselves. It doesn't mean they won't get there. It just means that sometimes they're on their own time, or that they need to kind of go through some of these steps themselves before they see where you're coming from. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they have different beliefs and ideas, and that's perfectly fine. The problem is, if you think different than other people and you're letting other people make these decisions and tell you what you should and shouldn't think or shouldn't do, they're holding you back, and you're limiting the amount of growth and learning and progress that you can make in your own life. I want to give an example about something that I had to change in my life, that I had a lot of support from some friends, and some other people around me stopped talking to me. A long time ago, or not even that long time ago, but years back, I worked within the cannabis industry. I was always really big on cannabis my whole life. It was something that I told myself helped me, made me a stronger, smarter person, made me more calm, less anxious, all the things that you tend to hear people talk about with this. To some extent, for years, it felt like this was true. But at some point, and I couldn't tell you the exact moment, but I remember kind of just consuming it, and it didn't make me feel good anymore. I had moments where I thought that I was wasting a lot of time. I had moments thinking that I just lost lapses of time. Like I went through and did fun experiences, but when I look back to it, it almost felt like a blur. What I thought took away some anxiety made me more anxious. I felt like it was limiting my ability to think clearly sometimes and to just be okay being bored. That was really the big one that stuck out to me, right? It's like, if you think back to when you were younger or when you didn't have things to do, you sit there and you're bored. You feel like, man, I don't have anybody to hang out with. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to watch. And that's not fun being in times like that. But when you're bored, that's when you kind of tap into your imagination, your creativity, and things of that nature. What I realized is that even things like putting away the laundry, sweeping the floor, doing these little mundane things, when I consumed cannabis, it made these things seem okay. Like they were always boring, but it just kind of changes the way you look at these things. So a lot of combination of things, happened where I just thought, I don't think this is for me anymore. I tried to quit a couple times. I went back, quit, went back, and just did this dance for a while until ultimately I just said, forget it, I'm done. I gave away everything that I had. And it's been, I can't even remember the last time I've consumed at this point. And it was hard, but for many different reasons. You're changing a habit that's been part of your life for a long time. And in addition to that, some, people I used to work with, some friends and things that I had, they stopped talking to me. They stopped wanting to do with me because I had decided that this is something I just don't want to do anymore. And I still get pressure from, some people and things sometimes, but my real, friends have never put the pressure on me. They've always understood, even if it's not something that they've done themselves. So sometimes when you go through that change and things that are difficult, you're going to realize, who's there to support you and who's not. And with that being said, it's never easy, and that's the third point that I made in the beginning is how to get comfortable with it. I don't know that you ever really do. What you can get comfortable with is feeling as if it gets easier to recognize the moments when you're wanting to change, when you're calling for that in yourself. When your mind, your body, your soul, and everything is leaning towards it's time to change and do something different, you get more comfortable recognizing those moments and when it's time to take action. And you also get more comfortable realizing that it's going to be uncomfortable for a little bit, but once you go through and stay committed to the thing for a certain period of time, you look back and realize, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was, especially in hindsight, right? 2020, that's hindsight is, that's when you get 100% certainty when you look back on something. Don't let, the fear of change hold you back. Don't let, your ego get to a certain point where you think, I cannot accept being wrong. I made my decision here, and then for the rest of my life, I have to stay in this camp with this idea, with this team, and I won't change for anything. That's not a great way to live life. And don't let the pressure of people around you that are trying to hold you back or trying to tell you not to change when you feel like you want to do it either. Those people are living their own life. They can make their own decisions. And if you're getting constant pushback from people around you that you call very close, friends, colleagues, family, and other things too, one thing I would ask you is, what type of positive, force is this person in your life, if any at all? Somebody that cares about you is going to support you in doing something, whether it's something that they would do themselves or not. And if you're not hurting yourself or hurting other people, and you're trying to change for the betterment of yourself, but you're getting this pressure from other people around you, I would question seriously, like, why do you have these people in your life and why do you allow them to have a voice at all? Because it sounds like they're going against what's in your best interest, not going towards it. I hope this helped. If it did, go ahead and drop me a comment below. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.